Alright y'all, our boy Macho's back at it again, and just when I think his grandfather's accounts couldn't get any more interesting. The role his ancestors played were crucial to the victory in this Third Earth War. In this last war, both evil and good beings would partake from all over the galaxy. The war would take place around 10,000 years ago, or right around the same time as the last ice age. Which actually makes sense because these advanced technological beings probably had some sort of super weapon that could create a sort of fallout or a ice age like event. They would state that the third war, just like the previous two, would last up to 1,000 years. Like I said, these battles are epic and they last a very long time. Now I want you to pay attention to what I'm saying here, because this is important. It is said that many years before the Third Great War, his people knew it was coming. So his ancestors would task their greatest warriors, known as the Mēxihcatls. They were tasked with traveling the globe and warning every faction of mankind of what was to come. His people would travel to China, Russia, Africa, Australia. You name it, they traveled there. Not only to warn them, but to also enlighten them on their teachings that they learned from the sky people. This would make a huge difference in the coming war because they were teaching solidarity. And they were explaining to the people that we need to unite as one faction to defeat this grave enemy. Now the enemy, you ask? It's the Alpha Draconians. They would teach Mother Earth's people how to build massive pyramids that could harness the Earth's energy. This would in turn lead to longer lifespans for people so they could grow wiser and prepare that much better. In doing this, his people would build strong relationships worldwide. Some of the different peoples would come home with them, while in some cases his people stayed. And due to this world brotherhood that was built, none of the women and children had to see any of the war. Every last one of them from each human faction was spared. They were actually kept safe by the most trusted sea life. They were taken to giant underwater caves that had massive pockets of air that allowed them to stay there for years at a time. There, they would be protected by some of the most ancient beings on Earth, mermaids. See, it was important to protect the women because they were the birthers of children. They were the creators of future generations. And it was very important to keep the children safe because they were the minds of the future, just in case anything terrible happened. See, women and children were particularly targeted by the Dracos. The women because they wanted what was inside their stomachs for creating life. They wanted to manipulate our DNA, and the children for consumption only. And once they had structures that would withstand massive earthquakes and explosions, aka the pyramids, shortly after, the Third Great Earth War ensued, and battle covered the entirety of the planet. Both good alien factions of light and evil alien factions. The display of technology was something like we can't even fathom today. Many of us would almost call it magic, but it wasn't. It was real. The Mēxihcatls, our man's warrior ancestors, played a very large and important part in the war. Their skills were like nothing we'd ever seen today. They could literally pick up large boulders with their minds and crush their opponent. The weapons they wielded had amazing abilities. They would literally incinerate the Alpha Draconians on the spot, reducing them to nothing but a pile of ashes. Spear and shield that were almost mythological. This epic battle would go on for 1,000 years until finally the Alpha Draconians would fall. They would be pushed back to the underground tunnels where they would immediately begin plotting for the next war. But this time they would take a different approach. They would infiltrate mankind. From the highest position of kings to politicians who ruled the world. And many think this war is pending as we speak. Now, if those of you that listened, did you catch that his ancestors traveled the world and built pyramids? This makes one kind of wonder. Could they have been the original ancient Egyptians? Now that we're finding pyramids all over the world, it's kind of up in the air as far as who and where the ancient Egyptians began or started. Of the places I named, all of them had pyramids, even Australia. It makes one think. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and follow for more awesome content.